Good morning, Mike the MC, bringing another self-care video. Today I'm going to share with you number 59 of the Catechism with respect of God calling Abraham, making him a father of nations and being proud of his people and who he is through his work and love and devotion to God himself. And it's a very interesting number with respect to the theme where I want to share with the idea of passing on your success through your children and your family, but how if you find that heir to continue on the success in the family, who's going to be that leader, that heir to continue the business, the agency, whatever that thing is in your family that really passes on something to the community for good. And I think that is a great concept to consider as far as, hey, we all love our families, and who's going to continue the torch when we pass on the success through our kids and beyond? And who's going to lead the way as our family continues to serve the people of that area for many years? So this will be a great topic to discuss. So let's get this started. So here's number 59 of the Catechism of God calling Abraham to be a father of nations. God chooses Abraham. In order to gather together scattered humanity, God calls Abraham from his country, his kindred, and his father's house, and makes him Abraham, that is, the father of a multitude of nations. In you all the nations on the earth shall be blessed. And a bit of a short number there in the Catechism, but it's interesting in that Abraham is now the father of a multitude of nations scattered across the world. And it's considering the fact that, okay, at that time, the different tribes, different peoples living in that area, Israel, Jerusalem, all across the world there at that time, really are called now to him, and that he's going to lead them and be the proud leader of the followers of God at that time. And it's like, okay, why do we follow this guy? Should we really follow someone that really was at that time someone we didn't know? And maybe he is a holy man, but you have to tell us through word. You have to tell us by the examples of his followers and his works and deeds. And I think as people, as we come to recognize other people in our communities that are famous doing things, they have a little status maybe, but how do they use that status? Is it for good? Is it for evil? We look at our presidents, our leaders, prime ministers across the world of other nations, and we look at their examples of what they do. And maybe some leaders do lead their countries into war. Others will try to liberate their people fairly, unjustly. And we look at these examples and say, okay, who is the leader that we want to follow? Who is the one that will guide us that we feel is really a good role model, not only for me or my spouse, but for my kids as well? And we look at these people and we say, okay, I like that person. He's really a good role model. Why don't you listen to him for a second on YouTube? Or why don't you listen to that person's book the other day? What did you think when you read his book? And we look at all these different role models, and we look at Abraham and how he is now taken on a role of responsibility from his perspective. He is now like, oh my gosh, I have to lead all these people from across the world, Lord? Wow. I mean, sure, I trust in you, and I know you'll lead me along the way, but how am I going to communicate with different people from different countries and nations? How am I going to share what I know to others about you? Are they going to even follow me, listen to me? And I think that's part of the trust of God when he inspires us to do something great. It's like, why do we listen to this guy on YouTube, Mike the MC here? Why do we listen to that president of the U.S. or of Mexico or of Canada, prime minister of Great Britain? Why do we listen to these people in these roles? We don't have to. We could just totally go on our own way and do our own thing. And that's fair. Yeah, everyone has the right to their own business, their own work, whatever they feel called to do. And I would argue that everyone has some way of living life, and it's a reflection of who they are. But I'll share this. It's influence. It's influence and status that really bring about what really drives people to us. People see our actions and they're like, wow, that's kind of cool what that person's doing over there, that side of the world in that community. Why don't we consider what I'm doing, what our family's doing, maybe try something a little different. Maybe consider, okay, maybe the things we were doing in the past, maybe they weren't always the best actions we could have done for the community, but maybe if we looked at our competitor now, had a little criticism, maybe we can now help other people because now we're starting to pay attention to what people are saying. And I think that goes a long way of you as a person to adapt, to look at what you're doing at yourself, right? And say, okay, let me change my way. Let me improve myself. Let me talk with other people who are maybe my own critics against me, but maybe they do have something important to say. And it is very logical from my perspective, and I would argue, is that if I look at my videos and critique what I'm saying, the topics, the themes, and I can really try to adjust, give a little different video each time, to me that makes me feel great, because it's like I'm talking on different themes and topics to share with you that you may like, dislike, but at least I'm sharing ideas and opinions that I can share from others that I've learned from over the years, that maybe they inspire you to think differently and maybe do things that maybe will encourage you to be great in your community. Who knows? And the thing is, like, if Abraham doesn't have a YouTube channel, okay, that's okay. Through prayer, through community, through his interaction with other people, right? That's helping the other people across the world at that time. And I would argue, okay, back to the theme of spreading an influence through the community from your kids and your family. What is the legacy? Who is the heir you're going to pass that on to, who will continue that legacy through the next century, generations to come? And I think that is a big question to consider, because helping a church community in my church, a prayer group, if I'm going to help that group survive throughout the century, who am I going to pass this on to? I need to entrust this to families. I need to find people who are willing to continue on the idea of the group that I'm sharing this with others across the time. Because it's like, if I don't, the group is going to get old and we're going to go away slowly and silently. And it's like, where did that group go? Why didn't they expand or advertise? And I would say, well, maybe people weren't really aware of what we had to do in our group, and maybe they weren't really considering that thought. But I think we all have to. If we're going to make an imprint throughout the centuries, we have to be willing to give up our position, our power, so that way the next person in line steps up, hands the baton to the next person, and so on. And we must not be selfish in giving away our power to the next person, because we're only having that title, that position for so many years, right? We can't hold on to that position and say, oh, I have the role for so many years because it was all me. No. It was blessed upon me, upon you, to lead our people, our groups in different ways. And now we must pass that baton to the next person. And that comes back to us being selfless, being humble. And that is why with Abraham, God knew that he could pass on through him a legacy, because he knew Abraham would pass his teachings to other people, knowing that he would not hold on to that title forever, because it's not being he's not selfish. He will pass on to those who follow, and those heirs will continue the success. So who are you going to pass on your success to, and how are you going to be proud of your own work, and that, all right, I don't have to be selfish anymore. I will practice and be happy with what I've passed on, knowing that I'm a good person and I could do something good. So that is for me, Mike the MC on Friday. I hope this video found you well. And always remember, you may not have the title forever, but you could pass that on to someone who will carry it to a next level. Maybe even carry your name to the next generation too. That will be cool. So that is for me, Mike the MC. Hope you all have a good day. Have a good one.